actually going to cut down a tree, I'm going to try to explain notching on a log, but it will apply to the same principle. Anyway, there's all kinds of different variables. Tree might be light on one side. You may be leaning this direction. You have to look at them, okay? You have to look at them. As you might have seen in the last two videos I've done, it worked out, but it was not the way it should have. So I'm going to put a notch into this, and I'm going to explain what it's going to do off of my experience. Now, I'm going to put two different notches in it and tell you which one I like to use most, and we'll go that route. This is the notch I like to use most. Flat on top, angled bottom. Now there's different ways to do it, but I'm just showing you the way that I like to do it. 25, a quarter, a third of the tree, which is, this is, I don't know, it's probably about a little more than a third, considering it's not standing, but the type of wood, there's so many different variables you have to take into account. If you're cutting a tree down, is there something in the way? Is it going to knock down the fence? Or there's just, you really have to look at it. Just look at it, would you? This is the notch that I like to use. Come in like here. And that tends to give it a soft fall. Soft fall, what do I mean by that? Which, it's not going to travel very far when it goes. Because this gap is going to close, then it's just going to go like right towards the ground. Most of the time. I mean, you could be on a freaking cliff in Kentucky or whatever, it'll go over the cliff. Whatever. You have to know what you're doing. Or you have to have mindset of what's going on. Now when you cut too far on this side, all your tension wood's on the other side, so it could roll off. You have to remember that. It can roll. So you want to cut it as straight as possible, and like vice versa, if it's cut further on this side, it could roll. It depends on what's going on up top. I mean, like I said earlier, you really have to look, analyze the tree. Is it a hardwood, softwood? Is it splinter? Is it going to barber's chair? You know what I mean? I mean, is it solid? Is it rotten? But this is the notch I like to use. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this through, and then I'll show you the other notch that I sometimes use. I don't use it very often. hell ain't gonna stand on its own. Imagine that. This is the other notch. Flat on bottom, angle on top, which I see a lot more people doing. It all depends on what you prefer and what the tree's doing. Is it hung up? Or is it heavy on one side? This tree here, I like to, this notch here, I like to use when I need to skip something. See, when it closes, it bounces and it actually kicks it out further, to my knowledge or my experience with it. It will actually kick it out. Like, I had a tree right next to this fence, like right here. Obviously, this isn't a good example because it's hung up more than Charlie Sheen. I would actually come up above the fence notch, angle notch top, flat notch the bottom, and then cut the back, and it would actually skip the fence, is what I've noticed. Which, as long as it's not hung up top, like this one here, it's not a good example. I mean, it's got this coming down, it's got this on the back. It's not a good example, okay? But you get the idea. That's another thing. Like, I'm gonna go show you guys this one tree, and you tell me which way it's gonna go without being pulled a different direction. Now, pulling it, completely different story. Well, if you're trying to pull it in the direction that you want it to go. Anyway, let's ride over there, and you guys tell me which direction this tree's gonna go. This tree here, which way is it going to go? Come on, which way? Without being pulled, what's going to happen? It's heavy on this side because it grows that way, but oh. It'll come right over. Look at the top up there. There's like nothing this side. Most of it. It's gonna come right this way. Really wish I could have cut that one down, but you know, right across the fence. It's got like a elbow that comes out. I don't even think you could pull it that way. You have to pull it because it'd get hung up and all that. It's shagbark hickory right there. So I'll be redoing this fence whenever it decides to come this way. Anyway, you guys learned something, or maybe you didn't. Maybe you're going to teach me. I don't know, okay? Only speak on my experience. I can't speak on California redwoods or something. Well, it's like this tree right here. You got, what is that? Mulberry, hackberry, right next to it. More than likely it's going to go that way for sure. This limb's going to catch, it's going to twist, it's going to break right over the creek crossing. Anywho, you guys learned something. Maybe you didn't. I don't know. Okay. But that's my experience with dropping trees, which the past two videos is not a good example. I will say that for sure. Anyway, like, comment, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Let's do it.